Before we begin, I want you guys to get ready for tomorrow, as I've created the full breakdown for Son of Dathomir, the canon comic series that explains what happened to Maul from Season 5 in the Clone Wars to now, as when we saw him last, he had just lost to Sidious, and Savage, his brother, had been killed. Tons has happened to him since then with Dooku and Grievous where he even fights them, and the comic explains it all. So look out for that new series coming tomorrow, starting with issue number 1. Okay, so hands down, this is my favorite Clone Wars episode ever made. This video will be full of Easter eggs and things missed and breakdowns and all that, so buckle up and let's get right into it. Now I'm gonna say I have not felt like this since the prequels were in theaters, since I was a little kid. I never knew it was possible to still return to this amount of excitement and level of tension after all of these years for an era that we thought was now just a nice memory. They did it. Dave Filoni did it, and most of all, George Lucas did it. This was his vision, after all. The whole episode is literally teeming on the edge of Order 66 being executed. They might as well have called it Prelude to Order 66, or Order 66 is in the air. We learned so much, and now Revenge of the Sith will never be the same for me. This forever has changed how I see that movie, in the best way possible. So, it takes place as Obi-Wan is pretty much headed to Utapau, so this is literally between this scene right here in Revenge of the Sith where Anakin is denied the rank of Master, and Obi-Wan flying to Utapau to kill Grievous, somewhere in between there. Might still be at the Jedi Temple where he sends this message or not, which you'll see in a few minutes, or it might even be as he's on Utapau, but I highly doubt that. So this means that the next episode will most likely have Anakin turning to the dark side, and pushing the 12th episode further beyond Order 66, I think. Maybe even with Anakin as Vader already in the suit, and Padme dead. So let's begin with the full breakdown and Easter egg hunt, shall we? We pick up right where we left off in episode 9 with part 2, The Phantom Apprentice. The Phantom Apprentice, I think, and I could be wrong here, is Anakin. This is a play on episode 1 where everyone thought the Phantom Menace was Maul, but the older I got, the more I started to think that it was actually Palpatine who was the Phantomed Menace, because he was disguised as a senator, whereas Maul never wore a mask. So in this episode, Anakin is the Phantom Apprentice, as this entire time he's been coaxed into the role as Maul reveals to Ahsoka. Maul circled Ahsoka, saying her name isn't one he's too familiar with, as he expected Kenobi. She says he was busy, where Maul ponders and says, "I wonder if the moment may be upon us." He knows about Order 66. This is what he's talking about, but of course no one has a clue what he means yet. However, soon they will. He explains that soon the Jedi and Republic won't control the galaxy, but Darth Sidious will. As Rex and the boys come in to Ahsoka's aid, Maul and Ahsoka fight briefly where Maul realizes Order 66 hasn't happened yet, as he says to himself, "Not yet." This means that if it had happened, then the clones would have shot her and not his men. As Maul makes a run for it, Ahsoka loses him and we get her, Bo, and Rex talking to Obi-Wan through Holo. Ahsoka tells Kenobi about Sidious, and Obi-Wan recalls the time Dooku told him about this Sidious guy in episode 2. He then reveals that learning more from Dooku is pointless because Anakin has killed him. With Dooku gone, they've lost the link to capture Sidious. This shows that if Anakin hadn't killed the handless prisoner of Dooku, Order 66 could have been prevented by the Count spilling the beans. Which kind of brings us to my animated fanfiction, Once Upon a Theory, where Dooku actually reveals that Palpatine is the Sith Lord. Maul is the last piece of the missing puzzle, and Kenobi orders them to capture him. Ahsoka asks Obi-Wan to send more men, which he says he cannot because he's being sent to Utapau to hunt General Grievous. As Ahsoka asks about Anakin, Obi-Wan tells her in private that Anakin is on a special assignment. As we get the Emperor's theme music playing, he's been sent to spy on the Chancellor, finishes Kenobi. Ahsoka feels for her former master and knows that Palpatine has been like a mentor to him, like a friend, and that this mission can't be comfortable for him. Obi-Wan explains that it's best she speaks with Anakin herself, and maybe comfort him. He tells her that he knows the council isn't always right, and that's why he's asking for her help to talk to him, because she's not on the side of the Jedi that much anyways, and would be able to see things neutrally. This makes me wonder if she's actually going to talk to him, if there's going to be any time. The only time I could see at this point is, I guess, before Anakin goes to the Chancellor's office to quote-unquote save him from Mace Windu. Maybe she reaches out to him right before he goes to the Jedi Council chambers as Master Windu instructed. As Rex comes in to inform Ahsoka of an attack, Ahsoka asks Kenobi to tell Anakin, to which Obi-Wan just says, I will. She's most likely gonna say, tell him I miss him, or, I hope he's alright, or I'll contact him when this is done, most likely. Tano gets to Trooper Sterling, who is dying or severely injured, as he tells her that Maul took Jesse the clone to probe into his mind. As Maul speaks to Jesse, he laughs and says, "Oh, clones. Bred for combat, all part of the plan." This plan, of course, is Order 66. Maul reveals he wasn't even aware of its grand design, but he played his part and was cast aside, forgotten. Maul isn't here to lead, he's here just to survive in the chaos to come. He knows that Order 66 will change the entire galaxy, and that the Jedi, clones, and the Republic mean nothing anymore, so he's just going along for the ride. The next scene is Ahsoka, Bo, and Rex going in to interrogate Almec. They try to pry out of him how Maul plans to escape, when the conversation shifts real quick to the real plan that Maul had, which was to bring Obi-Wan and someone else in. As Almec is about to reveal who the other person is, he gets shot in the chest by Gar Saxon, and with his last breath, he reveals the name, Skywalker, as Vader's music plays softly in the background. Bo and Saxon fight until they're separated, where we see Maul talking to the Pikes, Black Sun, and someone on the right who you might recognize, Dryden Voss from Solo. He tells them all to go into hiding to prepare for what's to come. This was really cool to see, and it ties things in very well now. Lord Maul realizes that him and Dooku weren't so different after all, that they were both just tools in Sidious's plan. Maul reveals that in the chaos that will soon ensue, the galaxy will be reborn. And as he speaks to the Mandalorians, he says it is not in their blood to hide in the sewers, and that if they will die on the battlefield as warriors. Which is, pretty much the greatest thing for a Mando. Bo, Rex, and Ahsoka walk into the throne room where Maul became the rightful ruler under trial by combat with Pre Vizsla. He sits there and deflects the shots fired by Bo. Maul's powers are immense, much more than we give him credit for. He simply moves his fingers and the bolts just sway to the side in midair. As the war ensues, Ahsoka implores Rex and Bo to go fight and leave her, that she can take care of this. As Maul watches the war, which is really one of the most stunning scenes that I've seen in Clone Wars, especially when the glass breaks in about a minute here, he tells Ahsoka how blissfully ignorant they all are to what is about to happen. He tells her that she left the Jedi because of their hypocrisy, that they're both just tools for two higher powers, him for the Sith, for Sidious, and her for the Jedi Council. Now, my favorite quote in this episode is from Maul right here, and it's where he says, "Justice is merely the construct of the current power base, a base to which, according to my calculations, is about to change." Lord Maul reveals Sidious is behind everything, in the shadows. Ahsoka asks Maul to tell the Council about Sidious to save the Republic, where he tells her that the Republic is gone, that there is no order or law except for the one that replaces it. This means that the Republic, the Clone Wars, the Separatists, everything doesn't matter anymore for what's about to actually come. He then outstretches his hand and says, "Join me. Together we can kill Sidious." Now, we all know that Maul and Ahsoka couldn't take on Palpatine, but hey, Maul's hopeful. Ahsoka accepts, which to me was very crazy to see her do, but Maul makes a good point. Together they can bring down a bigger evil, and then Maul can be dealt with later. As she accepts, she asks him for one thing. What do you want with Anakin Skywalker? Maul reveals that he is the key. To destroy, not to bring balance. He has been groomed well for the role as Sidious's apprentice. This whole war was Maul's plan to lure Anakin here with Kenobi, to kill him, and thus depriving Sidious of his prized pupil. Now, there are so many new fanfictions and theories that I'm dying to make now from this. What if Anakin went to Mandalore? What if Ahsoka joined Maul? What if Anakin killed Maul? What if Anakin lost to Maul? There are just so many different avenues we can take and places where the story can actually end up. Ahsoka ignites her sabers and says she knows Anakin and that his vision is flawed. Maul ignites his, and we see it's a different hilt. This hilt is actually taken from Asajj Ventress. And as he strikes, we hear Sidious's famous Force scream, which in Legends is used to disorient the opponent by shattering through the Force. Now, I'm not sure if this is a little key to show us that as Maul launches for Ahsoka, Palpatine launches at the Jedi during Revenge of the Sith. I really don't think it's the same moment because we're supposed to get that scene in the Clone Wars, which doubles the scene from Revenge of the Sith. The one where Mace Windu says, "I sense a plot to destroy the Jedi." So maybe they just added that in there for a nostalgic effect, or maybe Maul did the Force scream himself. He learned it from his master, and that's what I think really happened. As Maul and Ahsoka fight the coolest Clone Wars lightsaber battle I've ever seen, Saxon, thanks to Ray Park, who did motion capture, and Ahsoka's was performed by Lauren Mary Kim, who also did the stunts and fighting for the armorer in The Mandalorian. They did an absolutely amazing job, and the whole fight scene was just really cool. Ahsoka launches Maul out of the window, but before she does this, she tells him that he's lucky Anakin didn't come, because he'd have destroyed Maul. Now, of course, Ahsoka, loves her master and all that, but I truly do think that Anakin would have taken Maul. I don't think it would have been easy, but I think he would have defeated Maul for sure. Especially Revenge of the Sith Anakin. That's like a completely different level Anakin from Episode 2 or anything else. The clones beat Gar Saxon and his troops, and Bo's Death Watch advance with the clones to take Mandalore under their control until Maul is captured, to which the Republic's forces will leave. As Ahsoka follows Maul onto a scaffold where he tells Gar Saxon that he's out of here and to die well, Ahsoka stops him and the two fight on literal beams, which was a really intense fight scene to see. Ray Park is Darth Maul and knocked the fight out of the park. No pun intended. As Maul's ship arrives, his escape is interrupted by Ahsoka, as he grabs her wrists and throws her sabers out of her hands to the depths of Mandalore below. We know she most likely won't get these sabers back, as she makes new crystals from the Sith Inquisitor's crystals by purifying them from red to white. This is in the Ahsoka novel. Maul gets thrown off the beam, and Ahsoka holds him in mid-air as the clones surround him in the LAAT gunships, where Maul is just going berserk. He's going insane at this point, screaming, "You're all going to burn! We're all going to die!" as he's captured and taken away, at least until Order 66 happens, to which he'll probably break free somehow and steal the Darksaber or something until we see him in Rebels. Ahsoka feels heavy and looks to the sky where Maul's ship was going to grab him, as she feels an impending doom near. End of the episode, created by George Lucas. This whole episode was absolutely amazing. I've really never felt so captivated in a show in my entire life. The first few seconds had me on the edge of my seat, and I really give it a 6 out of 5, which I know doesn't make sense, but hey, it was that good for me. Hope you enjoyed this breakdown and all the things missed, and I hope you'll join me next week in next week's breakdown for episode 11. We really only have 2 episodes left, and I can't wait to see these. I'm really excited for it, and I can't wait to see what happens as we go into Order 66. Have an awesome rest of your day. Thanks for joining me today, and until next time, remember, the Force will be with you, always.
Now, fulfill